Boogie said there's trouble close at hand. Better pay attention now, 'cause I'm the boogeyman. And if you are shaking, there's something very wrong. 'Cause this may be the last time you hear the boogie song.
My lords and ladies, welcome to Malifaux. 'Tis I, your announcer, Mollusk. And now that I sound like a complete dickhead, we'll get on with the battle report. Or we would, but I've got some things to say first. Firstly, I'm super excited for this game because I've got my Stitch together. I've been waiting for these things for so long. They were supposed to come out and then they didn't, and then Darksphere was pretending they weren't there by not updating their website, but I found them. And so speed painted and ready to rock, or Boogie, I'm taking them out for their maiden game. The other thing to say is that during our post-game chat, it seems that some confusion had crept in somewhere, but for some or all of the game, it's hard to tell. My opponent thought the stitched Gamble Your Life attack was resisted by willpower, when it's actually defense. That probably would have impacted the game, especially for piglets, and I feel I have to come clean and ask you to bear that in mind. This kind of thing really does bother me if I let it, but to be honest, it's so hard to play through these games and not make a mistake, and life is just too short to dwell on it. So the game happened how it did, and I'm going to enjoy my Stitched, and leave myself a mental note that they might not necessarily be so effective in future. Spoilers! Okay, got that out of the way. So, terrain. We've got some impassable buildings, these are forests, these are little severe terrain walls and impassable rocks and shit. We're playing Guard the Stash, and these are the stash markers. My opponent deployed first, and this is quite exciting because he's playing a Ulix pig list, and I've never even played Gremlins before. And this looks like it's going to be quite a funny game. So he's got this wild boar that's deploying from the shadows. Oh goodness. I'll come clean, guys, I'm not a Gremlin fan, and I'm really not too familiar with the models. And I haven't even listened to many of the episodes on Schemes and Stones, which, if you don't know it, is a great podcast and you should go check it out. But I do dimly recall starting the Ulix one ages ago now. And basically what I know is pigs make more pigs, Ulix goes really fast with pigs, and slop haulers are likely to be a pain in the butt. But onto the models, I reckon that's probably Sammy LaCroix, however you say that. That looks like the slop hauler, hog whisperer, mechanical pork chop, Ulix with husbandry, hunting bow, and corn husks. Oh, and Sammy LaCroix brought a clobbering stick, whatever the hell that does. And that thing is Gracie. Bravely facing them are Collodi and his puppet gamblers. From the left, we've got Vasilisa hidden in the trees. She's got a friend to talk to, and is 11 soulstones worth of I really want it to work. Conveniently within 2 inches of her is the Coryphee, stitched together, stitched together, stitched together, brutal effigy, Collodi, with Strum the Threads, Fated, and Threads of Fate. And the pretty marionette in the dress. The plan. The whole crew is going to go aggressively for the centre and take and hold these squat markers, whatever they're called, stash markers, and we're going to see just how nasty the Stitch can be. And all I can say is I hope Gracie sucks at cards. Meanwhile, Vasilisa and her Coryphee entourage are going to run around the outside and drop some ski markers where they can. Ideally, I'd like Vasilisa to get back into the centre once she's done her job and start pushing some Stitched around to get them more attacks. I did want to take the Arcane Effigy, and in hindsight I probably could have had it in instead of the Marionette, and that would give me just a disgusting amount of card recycling ability. As you'll see, what I've got here just as it is quite, I feel it's quite good. I'll let you in on a secret. I'm really trying to start playing games fast now. I just don't have as much time as I used to have. So the plan is to win big or lose big, and I reckon the Stitched fit that theme pretty damn well. But enough of that, let's get on with the match. Turn 1, always happy to see that 12 of masks. I win initiative, make my opponent go first, and I think this is Ulix kicking things off by summoning lots of pigs. My early moves include wasting time with this marionette, strumming the threads to go fast, probably unnecessarily, and getting it up here. It dragged along one of the stitch togethers to get it, I think it might have been the one that was over here, to get it a bit further up. It then ran around the corner. And I'm going to look to try to take this lone pig down turn 1. Not sure what my opponent was planning with that wild boar. Could be he reckoned it would be out of range, and then be able to run amok in my lines in the first turn. Second turn, rather. But this is something that always puts me off about From the Shadows models, is that it just seems so easy to get them stranded and immediately picked off. As the turn progresses, we get the pigs healing themselves with the slop holder. Vasilisa twists the stitch to got up into range of the pig, and that's what I flipped for the damage. Was hoping for better, but at least I didn't kill myself, eh? So the Corofee's gone off and dropped its scheme marker. The pigs, I remember, moved up rather cautiously. I guess they can be pretty fast, and so I didn't see any reason to go barrelling headlong into a wall of stitched. The brutal effigy went, gave Collodi fear not the sword, and then Collodi went. I don't think I accomplice, but that's all I can remember. He walked up, strumming the threads first, of course he did. Personal puppeted the marionette, shot the pig, and I think Red Joker did damage, healing me and netting me a card, and then just walked forward here. And then by the end of the turn we've got Sammy LaCroix coming out here to deal with my Corofee, and I'm dimly aware she can do something to my scheme markers, and we've got some piglets shuffling up. Turn 2, that's a nice hand. I get the initiative and the Corofee charges Sammy, and does absolutely bugger all. He moves something else because the next activation I did was to make Vasilisa move up, twist the Corofee to attack with its casting action to slow, what's her name, Sammy. And then I spent a Soulstone on an Obey, which did nothing. So the sneaky goblin just walks around my Corofee to where it can see my scrap marker and then uses its 0 action to turn it into a pig. Of course she does. And I can see this goblin is going to be a major pain for me doing my scheme. As the turn progresses, my stitched frolic up towards this second stash marker. It's likely more piglets got summoned, and I might have shot one down with a stitched. It would have been here if I'm remembering it right. And then basically there's a lot of healing of pigs and reactivating of pigs. Mechanical pork chop charges the stitch together. It clings on by a thread and manages to reactivate, probably doing some damage to the pork chop. I activated Collodi quite late in the turn, and threw some strings at Gracie, damaging her a bit. I want to get, just weaken her down so I can Alpha Strike her next turn. But I'm a bit annoyed that I did this, because when Collodi's got Fated and Threads of Fate, you really want to be activating early in the turn as possible. So that's what I decided I'm going to start trying to do, I believe. We both score for the strategy and move on into turn 3, and that's not the hand I want for an Alpha Strike. And that's after Soulstoning. My opponent, I think, Soulstoned for the initiative. Got it, and the pork chop attacked the stitched, and ate it good. I reckon I probably had a go at Gracie with one of the stitched, and she comes lumbering in, causing some significant damage to my stitch, but it's not enough to take it to its hard to wound. But yeah, she's not gaining away with that. Collodi and the stitched take her down, and I think the stitched also spams out some attacks onto the slop hauler for weak damage, almost certainly. Ulix and this piglet considered moving out over here, but I think in the end they actually walked around to get stuck in. I think the pork chop reactivates, possibly because of the handler, I've got no idea. And my hero marionette holds it by flipping the Red Joker for its defense, and she's there on 1 wound remaining. So because Sammy's being a little bitch, Vasilisa walks up, engages Sammy, twists the Corofee away and out of combat, and tries to knit Sammy a new face, but can't pull it off. The Corofee then subsequently legs it round the forest and drops a scheme marker. Turn that into a pig. Over here, Ulix starts throwing his weight around, making my stitched all tasty, and finally bring it down, but not before it explodes with all its rotten contents over everybody. And I've just noticed that the arm coming out of his stitching looks rather suspect. So I think he might have just earned himself a name to distinguish him. Suspect the Stitch Together. Don't you just love christenings? So we head on into turn 4, and that's the kind of hand I need. Let's grill some bacon. I should mention that the Corofee died from poison at the end of the last round, because Sammy managed to hit it twice for 4 poison or something when they were dancing together. Poor Corofee, but it did its job, I guess. So what, in this turn I think the pork chop went and failed to finish off the marionette. Seriously, I love these things. The marionette had done a little bit of damage to the pork chop in the last turn, and so the brutal effigy went out, gave Collodi fear not the sword, Collodi accomplice, killed the pork chop, summoned a marionette from the dead Stitch Together's scrap, just to make sure I can try to hold that stash marker. The Stitch Together goes and finishes off the slop hauler, No, that's a lie. It finished off the handler. The slop hauler then went reckless and charged my marionette, and they both died. Hilariously, Goose Step the marionette puts the boot in and kills a piglet. Sammy and Vasilisa face off quite blurrily, Vasilisa taking damage it seems. And despite melee 7 does fuck all, I'm sure, to Sammy, because Vasilisa just frickin' sucks. Unless she's slingshotting a Coryphée around, I guess. And that's how things look at the end of the turn. And that is actually where we call it. My opponent had Entourage and Convict Labour, and with so few models left, and me almost certain to score full points for the strategy, and another point for my line, leave your mark, e.g. fast brutal effigy goes and drops a marker, or even Collodi for that matter, and summoning or holding, yeah, basically, I don't need to go into that. So yeah, we called it there. Really good game. The Stitch were absolutely brutal for packing the damage on Gracie. Towards the end of the game I started to give them focus and armour with Collodi, and it really made a difference. And just picking things off like piglets, whoops, probably shouldn't have picked off so many piglets, and his other, pigs and slop haulers and whatever else, just that keeps healing them up because of the brutal effigy, and every time I get a card, and I was getting really good cards. And my opponent just couldn't quite bring them down, so then they get to reactivate, do some more damage and heal. And to be honest, I'm not sure I failed a Gamble Life duel all game. Maybe I failed one. It was just one of those games where it seemed that every time it was my opponent who was having to cheat first, which really makes a difference and was probably somewhat to do with all the positive flips I was getting. So at the end of this game my opponent scored 2 points for Guard the Stash, no points for Entourage, and no points for Convict Labour. I scored 3 points for Guard the Stash, 3 points for a quick murder, which I'm quite proud of, by the way. Taking down one of these pigs when there's so much healing in this list, I'm going to be much more careful about doing that kind of thing in future. And 1 point for Leave Your Mark. But yeah, fantastic first game with the Stitch. Had some good breaks to be sure, but it certainly was a lot of fun. And I gotta say, my opponent was a great sport about it. It's not easy to play when you're fighting an uphill battle against the cards. But anyway, there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.